Off-road racing on artificial surfaces has grown in popularity around the world for two big reasons. One, it's easy to build a temporary track. There are a lot of places in the world that don't have permanent dirt racing facilities, so it's easy for racers and club owners to throw down some carpet or AstroTurf, lay out some pre-built jumps, and get moving. The World's here at Yatabe Arena this weekend, the first time ever that the IFMAR World Championships have been held on AstroTurf. So we're going to kick it down trackside with reigning two-wheel drive world champion Tebo for our Fantom Racing track map. The 2015 IFMAR World Championships for the 1/10 scale two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive buggy divisions represents the 20th anniversary of the last time the race was held here in one of the most historic and famous RC racing venues on the entire planet. We're standing down here on the track with defending two-wheel drive world champion Tebo. The first thing you said when we walked out here on this very bright green course is that you thought the track layout this week is really, really cool.
Yeah, the track looks awesome. A little bit different layout than the warm-up. Some more obstacles, and I think it looks really good. Can't wait to get on it.
What's the biggest difference between racing on dirt and an AstroTurf surface like this?
The main difference is just the speed of the cars. It's quite a bit faster. You run a faster motor, and then also just you have so much more grip. The cars are just faster, and then they're a lot twitchier. So it's a little bit more pressure driving. The cars want to flip a little bit more. They're a lot more sensitive. And then line choice is different. You know, you have to be really precise on this surface. On dirt, you can get away with running, you know, not the best of lines. And here it just shows a lot more if your lines aren't right. And you just have to drive really precise.
You've been running a lot on carpet at home. Is carpet a good substitute for racing on turf?
For me, it is, because I don't really have any turf tracks around. And then it seems like the different turf is a lot different traction levels, so depending on what kind you're running on, you get a different feeling. So for me, I've only driven on turf one time here at the warm-up, so I didn't want to search around and try to run on turf, just because I did so much testing after the warm-up that I didn't really want to have different setups come in here. You know, I know what the surface feels like, but practicing on carpet is way better than practicing on dirt. So I more so went to the carpet track just for like wheel time with a faster car, running close to the pipes and having the wheel be a lot more sensitive. It does feel different. You know, carpet, your car drives really straight. AstroTurf, your car doesn't really go straight. It kind of floats around because the fibers are a lot thicker. So it does have a different feel.
One of the big features of the IFMAR Worlds is that they change the track for two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive on the off day in between. So you're going to walk us around the two-wheel drive layout here and talk about the different features as we take a lap. So we'll head down here, down the back straightaway to the first corner, and we see it's a tightening radius right-hander.
Yeah, the straightaway is really long. The warm-up, it was more like a three-quarter straightaway, and the cars were flying there. So we're going to be going really fast into the straightaway. It has a little sweeper feel coming in, so I think the corner speed is going to be really fast down here. I think, you'll be setting up and rolling really fast through the corner, but it will be a really tricky section not to traction roll, because you're not going into like a 90 or just straight a 180. So judging your speed, take a little bit to get the right speed down.
And as the corner tightens up here at the end, we hit the first of several different single jumps that are scattered throughout the layout, and then into the biggest jump on the track. I believe it's about a 25-foot tabletop.
Yeah, they added this tabletop from the warm-up, so you'll come out of here. It's tough to tell how much of a chicane this is until you drive on it, but, with the edginess of the surface, it's going to be key to keep your line precise coming out of this turn one to make sure you don't have to steer a lot for this tabletop. If you're having to steer a bunch, you could not really tell where your car is going to jump. And also the face is completely blind, so you're going to want to make sure your line's real precise in that turn one to get over this tabletop.
And after the tabletop, it's a hard 180 back to the left, and then the first of two small step-down jumps. And again, this one had a little bit of an angle, a little bit of a chicane afterward, and then the next single jump is into the corner, whereas the one we saw before was coming out of the corner.
Yeah, I think this section looks good. I think it's going to be pretty technical. You're going to want to stay real tight in that 180, downside the step down, be close to these dots here, and then get set up for this next roll. You're just going to, not want to get too much air brake before it and then get back on the throttle to throttle through the 180 and get into the next section.
We see in a lot of the corners they have really small plastic corner dots that are bolted down to the track. Are those going to upset the car much if you hit them at speed?
I'm not sure. They didn't have those for the warm-up. So I'm not really sure. I don't know if hitting those is going to make you traction roll or not. It will be interesting because you really want to run tight to the pipes. But I think they did this a little to maybe keep you a little bit away from them because they run those hooks, and they were breaking a lot of cars at the warm-up race because you do want to run so tight to those pipes. And when you clip those hooks, it just, saws the side of the cars right off. So I think they're trying to protect that a little bit, and I'm not sure. You wouldn't think something like that would have a big effect, but the traction is so high that just that little weight transfer might flip the car. I don't know.
Well, after that tight 180 here, after the single jump, we come back toward the front of the track here and heading toward the driver's stand. It's another step down jump. It's after a little bit of a chicane and then into the biggest single jump on the track.
Yeah, this section looks really cool. This step down, I think you're going to want to just be downsiding it real clean, and you're going to want a lot of brakes for that roller just to hit it as fast as you can and get as little air as you can so that you're back on the throttle on the downside.
And after that, we have a 90-degree corner back to the right, and you're heading straight away from the driver's stand, and it's a double into another big single and then a tight 180 back to the left.
Yeah, they actually had this section at the warm-up. It was pretty much in this same lane, but it was further towards the back, and it was actually really tricky. It looks really basic and easy, but when you have the grip that you have, with it being this tight out of a corner, you're kind of hitting it with your wheels turn, and then you're landing, and you might be a little sideways, and then you're going straight into the brakes. And with the high grip and stuff, sometimes your car is just really reactive. So this section was actually really tricky at the warm-up, created a lot of mistakes. So I think it'll be the same here because you want to push it and you want to go as fast as you can through there. But with the high traction, it just makes it a little bit trickier. So, the key is to hit this first jump nice and straight and downside the double and use your brakes real straight off the single to get into that 180.
A lot of these jumps are right into and coming out of corners, and we see that they use carpet on a lot of the surfaces. Do you think that the transition from turf to carpet changes how the car reacts?
I don't think so. The carpet is less aggressive, so I think it's better to have the carpet up the jumps. The AstroTurf is definitely more grippy and more aggressive feeling than the carpet. So I think it's good, for braking and steering, up and down the jumps. I think the carpet's pretty good. I don't think it affects it having the Astro going up to the carpet.
Through this next section, you're talking about this really tricky single-double, and it's 180 back to the left. And then we have 5 rubber strips that have been nailed down to the track surface. And they aren't very tall, but it's a very abrupt bump. Do you think that's going to toss these two-wheel drive cars around a little bit?
Yeah, I really do think it's going to. They didn't have anything like this at the warm-up. I think it's going to be pretty tricky. You would, if you're looking at it, you're like, oh, that's no big deal. But they are so sharp. And I think they're just tall enough to clip the front bumpers. And also, I think the Americans, we run our cars a little bit higher than the Europeans, but the Europeans race on the carpet and Astro a little bit more. They run their cars pretty low. So I think this is really going to hurt the people that are used to their cars really low. And it might force you to run it a little bit higher than you would if these weren't here. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I haven't driven on something like this, with these bumps, so it's hard to tell. Sometimes sections look a lot tougher than they really are, and sometimes they look easier and they're really difficult. So I think these are going to be interesting for sure.
And then the left side of the track over here is actually one of the few sections that's not supposed to change between the two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive sections, and it's a sweeping chicane that is not quite straight if you are on the very inside, but again, we see the corner dots on the inside of on the inside of all 3 corners, and then one last single jump before the right-hand turn onto the straightaway.
Yeah, I think for me, just looking at track, this is kind of the make it or break it section. I think this is going to be lot of crashing going on through here. If this was dirt, it would just look like a easy section. But with the AstroTurf being so grippy, there was a chicane section at the warm-up race, and it created a lot of crashes. So I think just kind of calming down, backing up your corners through here, and just making sure you get through there, backing up that roller so you're not hitting the roller too fast, and just working on getting on the straightaway good is going to be key. And no mistakes through here, especially, last lap of the qualifier, last lap of the mains. Make sure you get through there clean.
A very, very busy track layout here at the Yatabe Arena. A very grippy surface, very interesting layout with a lot of different features. The driver's going to be busy the whole time. And Jared Tebo going for his second straight two-wheel drive world championship. Thank you so much for the track walk.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Looking forward to getting on it tomorrow, and should be a good show for everybody.
It's going to be an awesome race. There's been a lot of discussion since the original announcement that the Worlds are going to be held on AstroTurf among a lot of old school off-road racers as to whether racing on surfaces like this is truly, quote, off-road. But there's no denying the fact that this track will provide an incredible challenge for the best two-wheel drive racers in the world as we crown another world champion. This has been the Fantom Racing Track Map.